Well, rituals are a part of life. There's no way we can get rid of rituals. I mean, we make rituals out of everything. And when we get up in the morning and wash up and brush our teeth and all that, we do that regularly. So you could say it's a ritual. And like when we elect new representatives in the various legislative bodies, there's a ritual that is gone through, like in Congress, in the House of Representatives, when someone is elected as Speaker, or when in the Senate, when someone is confirmed to some appointment. It's done in a ritualistic way. The procedure is always the same, and then there's a formal announcement is made. This person gets so many votes, this is a majority, and therefore this person is appointed to this, or is confirmed to this appointment. Everything, the whole of life, is a ritual. There's no way, our life is not random. There's an inherent tendency in human beings to systematize everything. We don't feel very comfortable with randomness. We don't, somehow it doesn't go with our nature, a random arrangement or a random series of events. We would feel much more comfortable with a repetitive, predictable development of things. And this is part of the fact, probably, that we want certainty in our lives. When certainty goes, when randomness really comes, we feel very uncomfortable, we feel unmoored and disturbed. So in trying to overcome this randomness and trying to organize things, whatever procedure we want, whatever job we want to do, we set about organizing ourselves for that job. None of these things have anything overtly to do with religion, but the very inner necessity we feel toward organization, toward systematization of procedures, of events, all of that basically is the same tendency as the tendency toward rituals. You get up in the morning, you salute. You want to salute, you want to welcome the morning. You want to affirm your presence on earth for this day. So you have a series of procedures you go through. You salute the sun, because you're grateful. You also want to be thankful for what has happened to make life possible for you. So there's a natural tendency toward ritualism, and it's a very necessary part of our lives. We don't feel comfortable if we don't have that at all. And it has nothing overtly to do with what we would call formal religion. When we use the word ritual, we automatically think of religion, but that's because we're ignoring the basic reality of our situation, that everything we do, in everything we do, we feel impelled by an inner urge toward systematization, away from randomness. Because randomness is chaotic and unpredictable, and there are no moorings, and we feel uncomfortable because we need landmarks to orient ourselves. If someone suddenly loses all landmarks, as someone I know suddenly happened to him, he was very old, and it was a mental problem. I mean, suddenly he He was walking in San Francisco, and suddenly he found that he didn't know where he was, he didn't know who he was, he didn't know what he was supposed to be doing or where he was going. It was a total blank. And that was totally unbearable. That was, that in that situation one cannot continue. One does not have anything, any boundaries to provide landmarks. So rituals provide these boundaries, provide these landmarks that we can use to orient ourselves, that we can, and also it connects us, ritualism connects us toward something which we intensely feel but which we can't put our finger on. In other words, we are used to the physical universe that we live in, and we think we understand more or less what that is and how to deal with it. And psychologically, we understand to a certain extent our own minds and what is needed to make ourselves feel worthwhile and comfortable in this world. We know all of that, but yet there is a background to all of this, that there is a stage on which all of this is enacted, and that we don't know anything about. And so that's where religion enters, that to provide the stage on which our life is lived, so that our physical life and our emotional and psychological life have a certain framework. There's a certain sense of past, present, and future. And religion helps to organize all of this. So ritual then automatically comes in to fulfill that need. So I think ritual is an absolutely essential part of life. We cannot really get rid of it. If we get rid of what we call religious ritual, we can't get rid of the normal rituals that we don't recognize as such. So to say that we want to do away with ritual is not possible. And also the fundamental question is, even if we consider everything that we know here, all of these things are fragile. All of these things can be destroyed. All of these things, nothing here is absolute or is guaranteed, is firm, is immovable. There's always a sense of destructibility, a sense of that we are somehow in a very fragile environment. And as we grow older, of course, we face that more and more, because naturally life as we know it has not ever endured beyond a certain number of years. So we're all faced with the possibility that sooner or later we'll have to be taken away from this which we find familiar and comfortable, and for which we have used rituals to make ourselves feel more at home and more grounded. Somehow this will all be gone, and that inescapable fact stares us in the face more and more as we grow older. So rituals, in a sense, fill up this gap, because then we bring in ideas from great souls, from prophets, from incarnations of God, from tradition that have told us what is what in this world and what is what in the world to come, and that this is a transition place. They've told us about what will come, and they've told us what is necessary for us to reach this world that is bound to come, that it's not annihilation, that it is a different state of existence, and we are promised a higher condition if we follow certain procedures, certain practices, certain rituals. So rituals come in that way also. And there we can say, well, we don't really have any proof. We have to take the word of those people who have explained these things to us. But again, rituals come into play. But the net result of it all is that if we think carefully, there is no way that this world, that this existence that we are participating in right now, there's no way that it could be possible at all if there were no infinite reality surrounding it. In other words, if the world of the changeable, of the destroyable, of the world of that which vanishes, which does not last forever, if that were not surrounded by a reality, or were not embedded in a reality which does not change, which does not become altered, which is eternal, which has no dissatisfaction, if the world of the changeable were not embedded in an infinite, that is to say boundless, because we can't put any boundary on it, a boundless realm that is eternal, that is not subject to the changes that inevitably overtake the limited. If the limited were not bounded on all sides, were not embedded in the infinite, we would never be able to perceive the limited at all. We perceive this world because we stand in the unlimited. We perceive the changeable because we are grounded in the unchangeable, in the infinite. Otherwise, as Swami Vedananda pointed out, you could only say, when you're comparing experiences, that one experience changes, that the perception of the experience that changes presupposes a being embedded in something which changes less. So everything that changes must be embedded in something which changes less, otherwise you could not detect the change at all. Mm-hmm. And so this is regressus ad infinitum, an infinite regression. Every perception being based on, or being possible only from a standpoint that changes less, must eventually lead to a reality which does not change at all, although it's in the infinite limit that is perceived. So as we go to from the changing to the less changing, eventually we'll have to come to something which does not change at all. Otherwise, none of this would be perceptible. So this is just a logical argument which may or may not be important. But the feeling we have inside is that there is something in us which does not change at all. That the perception of our existence would not be possible if we didn't have in us an infinite and eternal, an unchanging and unconditioned reality. And all religions maintain that. All religions say that there is some reality, there is some existence which is eternal, which is unchanging, which is perfect, however you want to phrase it. And the procedures that generally are advocated in order to perceive that. So far it's only an academic position. It's only an idea in the mind. It's not something that is proved. It's a possibility. It's a logical possibility. And you may not believe it. You may say, oh, this is just playing with words. So, and that is a valid counter-argument. But religions say no. By following certain procedures, you can actually sense the truth of this, vaguely at first perhaps, but eventually you'll sense the reality of it in a very definite and convincing way. So, but the procedure for doing that, again, involves rituals, and it should not be considered a defect of the procedure. It should be considered typical of whatever it is that our experience here leads to. There's always, everything we undertake is a different kind of ritual.